Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to the Real Men Talk. Come on in, come on in. We got an amazing show tonight. Come on in. Welcome to the Real Men Talk Show. I'm Leo the Satara, also known as Saidu Kanu, to some of y'all on Facebook, also known as Ray. And tonight, my co-host couldn't be with me tonight, but he'll be back next week. But tonight, we got an amazing show tonight. I got a brother from the motherland that lives here in America, and we're going to be talking about our visit to Sierra Leone, as well as he's a local national. He's a citizen from Sierra Leone, and we're going to be talking about that, as well as why mental health therapy is so important. With mental health, as you know, if you don't take care of your mental health, man, you can't be optimal. You can't take care of those things that you're trying to take care of. You can't be successful. And you probably can be successful with some challenges. But one of the things we want to do is break the stigma when it comes to just getting mental health in our community. So this brother I'm going to be bringing up shortly, we're going to be talking about that. But I want to ask you all that's listening, what do you do in regards for your mental health? Like, for example, are you seeing a therapist? Are you doing any coping skills? Are you doing any meditation? What do you do for your mental health? If you would type it in the chat box, I'm just curious to what some of the things that you do. For myself, I do quite a few things, man. And I didn't really get into mental health until I came back from Iraq. After coming back from Iraq, I realized there was some challenges I was having. Took me a minute to realize it, but there was some challenges on top of some other things. And that's when I actually got into mental health. And once I went through the process, and it took actually a couple of years, because I started and stopped. And I think 2 or 3 years later, started again. And then once I actually made it through the process, that's when I realized I really needed a lot of help. And sometimes, sometimes we're in denial, and sometimes we don't see things. But I knew it was some issues because I was becoming withdrawn. And even before I went to Iraq, I was doing trauma. I was working in the emergency room. So with all the trauma I was seeing, all the dead bodies and all the healthcare, it really put me in a place where I was depressed. I knew I was depressed, but I didn't realize how depressed I was until after coming back from Iraq. So after I came back from Iraq, that's when I actually sought help. And then I want to say probably about 5 years later, because it was on and off. But when I look back on it, I realized there was a lot of things that I was challenged with. One thing I realized, I was very, very hypervigilant. I was always on the defense, on the edge, just ready to go. At the same time, I was, forgetting things, and just had a short fuse on top of some other things. And once you get to that place, you don't want to get that place. You become somewhat desensitized. And I was very desensitized with certain things. And I look back on it and I feel kind of bad because some of the things I did and some of the things I probably said to people wasn't the nicest thing. But during that time, I thought I was in my right mind. I wasn't in my right mind. It was just due to lack of therapy and not even seeking help. So that's what's the part of the show that we're going to be talking about later in the hour when it comes to just seeking help with mental health. Um, so I'm just curious to what are some of the coping skills that you all are using, or that you're doing? If you would put it in the chat box. And I'm a one man show, so right now I'm working my keyboard as well as talking to you all and preparing for our special guest that's coming up. So please forgive me. Uh, make sure the other groups is getting this. And when you're running your own show, you're wearing many hats. And today I'm wearing many hats. Oh, so let me go into the chat. Let's see what we got going on. So before I bring this brother up, met this brother, man, in Sierra Leone when we was there in April. And couldn't wait to bring him on the show to talk about this because we was over there. We talked about a couple of things. I didn't realize that he lived in America till we started talking. And then when he told me he worked in mental health, I said, I definitely got to get you on the show because that's part of the Real Man Talk. One thing that we talk about when it comes to the Real Man Talk is getting therapy, so you can move on. So you can move on. If you can't, sometimes it's challenging to move on if you haven't gotten that fix. When I say that fix, it could be many things. I see somebody say make time for a walk, getting some solitude time for myself. That's very important. Very important. Another thing I do, I actually work out sometimes. I ain't worked out. Matter of fact, since I've been back from Africa, I really ain't been working out like I usually do. So I got to get my mojo and get back in there. But before I bring this brother up, I want to play this video. And once I play this video, we're going to talk about this video. Do this. Here we go. Share screen.
Well, just to come home. I am Abdul Fofanah. I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa. When I was 11, my parents were able to bring me and my sister to join in America just before the Civil War broke out. The pain still live in our heart. Never mind, the war is over, but the pain still live in our heart.
They killed my father and they burned the house my father built because of him.
As a kid, I didn't understand why people were killing each other. The little that we had was destroyed. I think the people just wanted to change so that the youth in general can have a future. We can have a future.
We as black people couldn't fight. We don't have ammunition to fight, but we have our peaceful ammunition, the music. Hip hop music is the weapon to fight against corruption.
You speak your mind, you sing what you want to sing, as long as you do not name names. As long as you do not name names.
They would say hip hop singing or whatever. It's not meant for female artists.
Why is that?
Well,
Hip hop too hard for them. Too hard for them.
Yes, I. Put yours together for the wonderful young lady. Let it be.
Yes, I. Let them put your music up. Put it in your
I tell you what, let them assist you stop them right here. Let them give you woman life. And when they perform, let them give you chance to perform. When I mean the crowd, they happy to do it.
It's the people that go there that don't really explain the reality of America. You know, they go over there and then they sell the fantasy.
America is supposed to be the lavish. It's supposed to be the kingdom. It's close to heaven as possible.
That's what we say in Sierra Leone. That's America is the second heaven. And it's the country that's close to heaven.
When we go to Sierra Leone, you know, it's home. We're going to make an impact on a musical scale. We're going to make an impact on a political scale. You know, we want to be interviewed. You know, we want to go on TV.
and we want people to interview us and ask us any question they have about America. Because because we're gonna bring the real, we're gonna bring the honest pictures of America that we see here every day. You know.
Beside the strong man, it's a black woman, and vice versa. For better or worse, and when it seems like life's nothing nice, my peoples come first. Whatever the price I pay till it hurts. To the clutch, I can tell you how much I precious baby. I love my black beautiful queens and ladies. I love my black brothers who move a muscle in the struggle.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was a video by my special guest I'm about to bring up, and we go talk about this video. Also, we go talk about why mental health is so important. I like to bring up none other than my brother, Brother Abdul Fofanah. What's up, brother?
How you doing there, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be a part of this wonderful show. I get the opportunity to connect with you since we saw each other back home. So I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Man, thank you for coming on, because you and I haven't talked since we was in Africa. I think we briefly talked a couple of days ago, but I told you when I was in Africa, I said, man, I got to get you on the show. And you said, not a problem, man. Take my number and let's rap. And then got home, as you know, coming here to America. Once you get here, man, it's like hustle and bustle. And you and I were communicating, but we really didn't communicate until less than 7 days ago through one of our other group chats. And you're like, yeah, brother, I thought you was bringing me on. I'm like, yes, let me get you on this week. And thank God and praise Allah that you had time and you blessed us to come on. So, brother, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me, and I'm also very blessed that we can finally make it happen.
So, brother, let's talk about this video, because the video was very moving when I first seen him. It was some things that I didn't know. I was unaware. So this 3-minute and 25-second clip, a documentary that y'all put together, it was very eye-opening and very informing. And one thing that stood out that caught my attention, it was a couple of things that caught my attention. But you said people sell this dream of America, and it's not really what all the hype is to be. Can you please talk about that, expand on that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think back in the days, America was kind of being advertised as this place where you can come and get away from all your hardship, and where you can come and, if you work hard, you get a fair shot at the American dream, and you're able to make something out of yourself, hopefully empower your family and your community. But I mean, we all know that the America that we're currently living in, and the one that we've been living in for a while now, we don't even know what that dream looks like anymore. And so I think that, America sometimes gets portrayed as this is the place to be. But a lot of us that are here, we're struggling with a lot of things that, in fact, some of the people that are still wanting to come here, some of them have a better situation where they're at than those of us that currently reside here. And so I think it is a dream that when it's sold that way, because the reality of it is that not every aspect of American life is what's being told or what's being showed to a lot of places around the world.
I agree with you on that. So if you had to compare and contrast the major difference when it comes to being home the last couple months to coming back here, what has been the major difference for you when it comes to just your peace of mind, your sanity, the environment?
I think one of the main things that I'm struggling with right now, since I've been back a few weeks, being in Africa, it's just an environment that is more aligned to who I am as a Black person, who we are as Black people. That environment, is more set up for the things that I like to do, the ways that I like to interact with other people. And I feel like over here, we're constantly adjusting. We're constantly bending to try to conform or fit a model that is not necessarily a model that was set up for us. And obviously, you know, I reside here. I'm an American citizen, so this is my home as well.
Right.
But naturally, being in Africa, the food, you know, is more the type of food that speaks to my taste bud. The way people interact with each other, you know, for example, as Black people, you know, we're very animated. We're very expressive when we're talking or when we're jubilating or when we're crying or whatever, when we're expressing emotions. And oftentimes in this culture, in the Western culture, that can get mistaken as us being too angry or being too agitated. And so just being in an environment where I could be myself and not have to worry about these isms
Right.
that we are constantly here having to pay attention to. Like when I step outside, how's my presentation?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
You know, so that's probably the most difficult thing is being in Africa for 6 months and coming back. I can really see myself changing and adapting and trying to form back to those models of how they expect me to be here. And it's been very, very difficult. I've been struggling a lot with that.
So, I'm glad you say that because it's kind of hard to paint the picture unless you've been over there.
True.
And I say that because I was over there, and I remember my friend from Sierra Leone telling me, he said, "High Tower, when you go over there, you will actually experience what freedom feels like." I didn't know what the hell that mean, Brother Abdul, until I went over there.
Right, right.
When I was over there, I didn't feel threatened. I didn't feel like anybody was going to bother me. I literally felt at peace. Even with the food, I wasn't eating a lot of. Matter of fact, y'all really don't eat a lot of sweets over there, so I wasn't eating sweets.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole mood was just different. The vibe was different, man. And when you get back over here, as soon as I made it into Canada, man, I can just feel the stress level going up. When I touch down in America, I can feel the stress level. It's a different type of energy. It's almost like leaving the country and going straight to a busy city, and you just feeling it change just like that.
And you're absolutely correct. You know, and this isn't a conversation about which side is better than the other. Let me make that very clear. Because
Right.
I identify with both sides and I claim both sides. But, you know, living in America, it feels like we're constantly being drawn outside of ourselves, whether it's a television ad that is trying to get you to like pay attention to something that you weren't thinking about, or whether it's a billboard sign that's on the road while you're driving or you get in your car, something comes on the radio, and you're constantly being bombarded with this imaging or messaging and things of that nature to make you pay attention to something outside of yourself. Whereas like when we were back in Africa or in Sierra Leone, those things, they also exist there, but they don't exist at the volume or at the level that they do here. And so that actually provides an opportunity for you to feel like you're in charge of yourself.
Right.
You know, you can actually feel and pay more attention to you yourself and how you're feeling. Whereas in this environment, you know, we're constantly being, you know, pushed to go get something, to be productive. And no matter how productive you are, it just seems like there's always a pull for more.
You know what, Brother Abdul? I first noticed that in 1996.
Okay.
At 19 years old, actually 18 years old, I had joined the United States military. And they shipped me over there to Germany. And over there in Germany is completely different. Matter of fact, the energy is much, I would say, lower than what Brother Abdul is talking about. And for example, over there, everything shuts down probably about 7, 8 o'clock. If you don't get gas by 6 o'clock, you pretty much screwed unless you're getting on the Autobahn to go get gas somewhere else.
Okay.
Also, you'll see older people probably in their 70, 80s riding around, not riding around, but walking around, riding their bikes. And even on the weekends, a lot of things are not open. So the energy is much different. But when I used to come back and fly to America, as you just stated, man, you got billboards, you got music, you got everything that's pulling your attention. And it's like everything is 24 hours, 7 days a week here in America. So therefore, your brain is constantly moving and you're moving. And it's like, and you probably don't realize it, but you put your body and your brain under stress. And
Constantly.
Right. So here in America, we're constantly under stress, whether it's social media, whether it's TV, whether it's radio, billboards, advertising. And it goes back to your mental health because your brain is constantly moving. When do you rest besides sleep? And here in America, we don't get enough sleep in the first place.
No, and that's just the whole thing. And that's why a lot of us are suffering from mental health in this country because, and it's not just an African thing. You know, as you stated, when you went to Germany, you could see the difference. You know, some of those cultures, they actually prioritize time for family.
Yes.
They prioritize time for community. You know, I've been to Austria. You know, I've never been to Germany, but when I went to Austria to visit my older brother, that was one of the observations that I saw. You know, I saw older people in their 70s, 80s, who are still walking and still visiting each other and still hanging out at the park together. You know, and one of the interesting things as well was when I was visiting my brother, I noticed that, you know, in a lot of the homes that I visited, you know, I didn't see really big bathroom shelves where people store medication, right?
Wow.
You know, the refrigerator that I saw when I was in Austria at most homes that I went was that smaller size refrigerator that the teenagers usually have when they go to college.
Right.
And at one point I asked my brother, I said, you know, I'm noticing like you guys have all these small refrigerators and there's a sign on the refrigerators. I said, what does that say? And my brother said, oh, that sign is in German and it says, don't visit this place often or don't visit here often. And so these are cultures that promote wellness. They know that if you have a really big refrigerator, you have the tendency to not cook your food all the time because now you have enough space that you can store food in there for as long as you like. And if you're not cooking all the time, then you're not also necessarily eating the most healthiest food all the time. And so it's just, you know, and that's what we enjoyed when we were in Africa. You know, the life pace and how people operate and things move there. You know, people might be poor. People may not have the resources in the same way as we have them over here in America, but people are happier. People actually make time to live life. You know, here I work and I get a paycheck every 2 weeks, but the only way I can really like find happiness in doing that is to be able to pay my bills, sustain myself to the next paycheck, or go and buy myself a pair of shoes, something material that I could wear. But oftentimes that pair of shoes will stay in my closet for about 4 months, 5 months, because I don't really have an occasion to wear them too. So it's things like that, you know? And so that's why I feel like more people, you know, are looking elsewhere in the world to try to see if there's a better way of living, because we're all being impacted by this.
So, brother, you said something I want to touch on. I'm gonna play a video, and I want you to touch on this video afterwards. But to one of the founders of the show, Mr. Cowles, you're exactly right, man. Constantly under stress, and that's another one of the best therapists in the country, Brother Matt Cowles, who was a contributor to the show as well. Exactly right. But you said something that was very important. I was telling people when I came back home, people over there has less, but they're more happy.
Yes.
I went to Honduras, people had less, but they was more happy. When I went to Bahamas, people had less, but they was more happier and healthier.
Yes.
So with that being said, I'm gonna play this video, and I want you to talk a little bit about this video afterwards. This is a very touching moment for me because during this time I was very happy. Just from, let me just play the video so you will see what I'm talking about.
All right.
Share screen.
This well been here since the 1800s. Fresh water. The same water that the slaves used to use. They still use it today. I'm gonna get some because I'm thirsty. I'm sorry.
Come on, bro.
I'm gonna get something to drink.
Oh, wow.
I drink some.
Oh, it was good. Good. Need some more? I'm sorry. Oh, that's good. Good. How it tastes, brother? Tastes good. Yeah. Like this one.
So, brother, people may be thinking like, what's the big deal? To me, that was major, man, because first of all, I was very thirsty. First of all, second, it was from a well. Third of all, I hate that I used the word slaves, but it was our ancestors that still was using that water back then. But this was water that our people pumped from the ground.
Yes.
Can you talk about the significance of that for us that's in the modern world, man?
Definitely. First, let me say, for those that are listening or for those that are tuning in, that is an island. Sierra Leone is made up of a lot of islands, but that was one of the major islands that was used to hold our people captive and then get shipped out to the Western world as slaves. So it's called Banana Island. It's actually a very, very beautiful place. So we got the opportunity to go there. And I think as Black people, as people of African origin who were taken outside of that continent and brought over, I think that so much was done to make sure that disconnect remains disconnected.
Right.
And I think that for us, even me as a Sierra Leonean who was born in Sierra Leone, who's raised up in America, to be able to go to that island and walk in the same path that our ancestors walked, to be in that same island where they dwelled before being taken out to unknowns that they never knew where they were coming,
Right.
nor did they know if they would ever come back to that place. And so it was very, very powerful. It was very powerful to be in that island. It was symbolic that we were able to make contact with that well and make contact with that water.
Yes.
Some of us drank it. Some of us were washing our hands. Some of us were washing our face. For me, one of the emotions that was coming up for me at that time was a connection back to my people that I've been disconnected from for so long, to be able to have that shared experience, even though it's not within the same time period, but at the same time, just to be able to have that that connection to say, yes, I drank from the same water that my ancestors drank, And I think it's one of the ways that we can decolonize all of these other things that are put in place for our people, to say, yes, as Black people, there is a place where we can go back, where we can reconnect with our ancestors, even if we can't physically see them.
Right. So with that being said, brother, we go take a quick commercial break, about 3 minutes. We go come back, and Brother Abdul go talk more about mental health and how mental health plays a major factor. But we go also talk a little bit about Kent Island, because Kent Island plays a major factor with us as Black people when it comes to mental health. So be back in about 3 or 4 minutes.
Welcome to Houston's Notary, the fastest and most efficient mobile notary service. Houston's Notary pride itself on following up with their customers and making them feel at ease. Houston's Notary has the finest notaries that provides many services such as loan closings, fingerprints, cash outs, affidavits, wills, trust, power of attorneys, employment verification, documents for immigration, and legal documents. Wow! So many services that all you have to do is call. Toll free 1-844-292-5562 or 713-956-6485 or visit houstonsnotary.com. Let us be your notary.
Many people are tired of typical pharmaceutical drugs that have major side effects and causes addictions. The federal government has legalized CBD in all 50 states. CBD binds to the CB pain receptors in your body. The Houston Health and Wellness Company offers many products that can help you immensely. The consumer favorite gummies are delicious edibles that you can take and attain immediate relief. The tincture is a CBD product in liquid form that you place under your tongue that also comes in a variety of flavors. For those aching joints and muscles, Houston CBD has a full-spectrum salve with various all-natural ingredients that will help provide relief. They even have CBD for dogs. Yes, CBD for dogs. Botana oil from Dr. Sebi's Usha Village. It's an all-natural oil from the Botana plant that has been known to help hair grow at a rapid rate. It can be used as a moisturizer for your skin. Best of all, it's all natural. They also have elderberry syrup for your immune system. Go to www.houstonscbd.com. That's Houston with an S, CBD.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real Man Talk Show. I'm Saidu Kanu here with my special guest Abdul Fofanah, and I just showed you a video of us when we was at Kent's Island before going to Banana Island. And when you talk about emotional, this part really got me very emotional when I did this video. Just the thought of our ancestors being put in a place like this. The thing about this is, until you're there, you really won't understand. But what you're looking at is a building. In this particular building, they pretty much had them chained, naked, and this was the so-called window. And from my understanding, they had to kneel down to even look through the window, because where they was at, you wouldn't really couldn't stand up. So our ancestors was put in this place, probably a place that could only hold probably about 100 people, but stuff probably with 300 or 400 people in there with nothing but darkness. For them to only be dragged out probably days later, chained up once again, beaten up, putting on a boat to go to Banana Island, which is the island that we showed earlier in the program, which is a beautiful island, but it was a major strong point that they used to pretty much take our ancestors and take them from different places. With that being said, we're going to be talking about mental health, but I want to also put this out there. According to the Mental Health Association, socioeconomic status in turn is linked to mental health. People who are impoverished, homeless, incarcerated, or have substance use abuse problems are at a higher risk for poor mental health. Brother Abdul,
Yes, sir.
You're a mental health therapist. Can you go more in detail about this quote as well as this stat for mental health of America?
Definitely. And at the beginning of the show, you talked about, obviously, when I talk about these type of things, I'm speaking from my own lived experiences, right? In which my lived experiences have been a constant commuting of two worlds. Being that I'm from Sierra Leone, every day of my life, I commute to that world. And being that I grew up in America, every day of my life, I commute in this world as well. So my life has been a constant commuting of these two different worlds. And so let me start off by saying a quote like that really just talks about the similarities of our experiences as Black people, as African people, from both worlds, right? The poverty that we experience, whether we're in Africa or we're in America, really plays a big part in our mental health, right? When you are coming from, when you live in an apartment, let me say, when you live in an apartment that's a 2-bedroom and it's 8 of you guys living in there versus a kid who has a 4-bedroom home and there's 4 people living there,
Right.
That kid in that home has a lot more privacy, has
Right.
a lot more space and time to do what things they need to do to be successful academically or to be successful socially. And so oftentimes, some of us who grew up in those dwellings where it's 2-bedroom and it's like 8 or 7 people living in there, you could see why our well-being is being compromised in those settings. And so that's one example, just to go into breaking this quote down. And you talk about incarceration, and these are institutions that were built for us to be put in there, right?
Right.
And so, when you can't talk about incarceration and not talk about police brutality,
Right.
or talk about our experiences with police or our experiences with law enforcement or people of authority, right? We're often misunderstood, and so whenever we come into an interaction with a person from authority or law enforcement or police officer, that disconnect of them not understanding who we are as people, or we not necessarily understanding who they are, can sometimes lead us into a very traumatic experience. And unfortunately, for people of color, oftentimes it's a very traumatic experience for us.
Right.
And so, and that's exactly what this quote says, you know, where you live, what happens around that area or that neighborhood, what you eat, all of these things lead to either good health or poor health, either a well mind or someone who's dealing with mental health issues.
Now, another stat that came from the Mental Health Association stated historical adversity, which includes slavery, sharecropping, and race-based exclusion from health, educational, social, and economic resource translate into socio-economic disparity experiences, which once again goes back to mental health. And here in America, and not only in America, I would say across the world where there's Black and brown people, we have experienced slavery, sharecropping, race-based exclusion. Can't get that job because your skin is not the right color.
Right.
Health, we got people can't get adequate health care because either they don't have the money, don't have the resources, or the resource may not be in their community. And even if the resources in their community, the health care is not optimal.
Exactly.
Education. Some of our schools are mainly like, and this is my personal opinion because I believe we got some amazing teachers out there, but sometimes they don't have the full resources. It become more of a holding facility because there's only so much they can teach and do because they don't have the proper resources and may not have the adequate resources to teach our kids. So
sure.
All this causes other issues, and it does translate into, once again, it is an economic issue, but also it turns into goddamn mental health later on. And as they reported, excuse me, 16% of Black and African American people reported having a mental illness. And this was done back in 2018. And 22.4% of those reported a serious mental illness over the past year. And some of these serious mental illness can be looked at as, excuse me, behavior issues.
Sure.
It turns into the legal system. Now we got people locked up, and we got millions and thousands of our brothers and sisters that's locked up because they're sick mentally, but they've been charged with a crime.
And this is very, very important because especially as we are dealing with COVID currently, a lot of us already had mental health issues to work on before COVID.
Right.
And COVID has been a very traumatic experience for all of us. This whole idea of a lockdown is, man, that's the place where that's what they do when they take people to jail. They lock them down. And so even though it was voluntary, or we were doing that because that was what was needed so we could get a hold of this disease, but nevertheless, it has greatly impacted all of our mental health. I mean, it's clear in the divorce rate, you know, it's clear in the increased abuse that is happening in homes right now. It's clear in how, you know, there's shootings going on, there's mass shootings going on right now everywhere. And so these are all symptoms of people experiencing mental health. I think we live in a culture where, unfortunately, we tend to be reactive instead of proactive.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so a lot of times people start exhibiting symptoms of mental health early, but we don't pay attention to that until it spirals into a crisis where they end up hurting somebody or hurting themselves. And at that point is when we start saying, oh, well, this person is crazy, or this person has always been, you know, behaving odd. But a lot of times, if you just pay attention to the individual early, you start seeing the signs. And so, and there's disparities in this as well, right? As Black people, we know our communities aren't very welcoming to someone who's experiencing a mental health crisis, right? Oftentimes, the stigmas that we've attached to those people who are experiencing mental health issues, you know, because of that, people who are ill are afraid to come out and get the help that they need. And so a lot of times when you think about drug use, you think about alcohol consumption, all of these are just self-medication things that we participate in because we have an underlying issue that's really bothering us, but either we don't feel safe enough to talk about it, or we think we're going to be judged, or we think we're going to be shamed for it. And so we keep it inside of us and we turn to substance use to try to escape from that reality. So, and in tying this back up to a place like Africa, you know, for us, you know, you live in Texas, right?
Yes, I'm down here in Texas.
Okay. And if you were to relocate from Texas to Seattle, Washington, okay, it'll take you a while to get adjusted and to make that transition. And this is you just moving from a place where you were speaking English and you're going back to a place where you were speaking English. You're moving from a place where it's the same country, pretty much,
right,
just on a different side of the country. So imagine what it's like for us Africans or for us immigrants who leave behind, whether we come in as refugees or we come in as immigrant, whether we purchased our own ticket or we're fleeing from some war or something. But the fact is, when we leave that place and we go anywhere else, we are leaving home.
Yes.
We are leaving the place that our natural dialects that we speak.
Right.
We're leaving all that behind. We're leaving all the relationships that we formed behind. We're leaving our loved ones, our community behind. And so, not to even talk about the fact that with all of that, that's definitely going to impact the individual. But we're now coming into an unknown. We're coming into an environment that the weather is different from what we're used to. Yes. The language is different from what we've spoken before. The food is different. And we're coming into a place that we don't know. So like I was saying, if you move from Houston to Seattle, that's going to have an impact on you. Just imagine somebody leaving, let's say, South Sudan, and now ending up in Arizona or Utah or DC. So definitely there's a lot of trauma that comes with either you're a refugee or you're an immigrant. And oftentimes people are so focused on the fact that this person is coming into a quote unquote better place, a place of more opportunities, that they don't think about the impact of all the things that I've just highlighted. But it starts to show in how that individual present themselves, right? So these are all factors that we have to consider, you know, as Black people in America or Black people anywhere in the world. The color of our skin make us a target for all types of behaviors that are not socially acceptable. You know, people look at us a certain way, people say certain things to us. And so all this is trauma that we're either born into, so it's intergenerational. And when we come to this world, that trauma just adds on. And so we need to be more intentional and pay attention to our kids, pay attention to ourselves, pay attention to people in our community, pay attention to people who look like us, pay attention to people who don't look like us, right? Because we are all connected on some level. And even if that person who's next door to you is not your friend or your family, but if they have a mental health issue on some level, you will be impacted by that. And so I think in Africa, what's different is that we come from communal culture. Okay? And so as you experienced when you were there, you saw how people just came to you.
Yes.
How welcoming people and open, how embracive people are.
Yes.
Right? And so that is something that is ingrained in our culture. And because of that, we tend to have our counselors right there in the community. You know, our in our faith organizations, whether you're Christian or you're Muslims,
Right.
you know, we build this relationship with people there who are our doctors, right? Who are our therapists. And so it makes it easy for you to go there and talk to those people. But as a world, I think this is something that we need to really pay attention to, because we're all suffering from mental health on some level. Some people are just brave enough to accept that and own it, and then take the steps to try to be better. Some of us stay in denial about it. And unfortunately, the end result is usually not very good. Last November, I lost a very close friend of mine. And he, you know, and all up to the day when he died, I was with him.
Wow. Sorry.
And this brother, you know, came to America. He's from Congo. Came to America like me. Grew up here. Had some kids here. Had some, you know, relationships here, and resorted to a lot of heavy drinking. Right. And so when he passed, as I was informing people that he passed, you know, the first question would be, well, what did he die for? You know, what killed him? And it was his liver that failed him, right? And his kidneys. And obviously people automatically know that's because of heavy alcohol consumption or drug use or things of that nature. That's what everybody was focusing on. But I was more focused on the fact that here's a guy that I was really close to who had so much going on with his mental health, and did, for whatever reason, whether I didn't make him feel comfortable or whether he didn't feel comfortable, but he didn't share or he didn't talk about these things with me. And instead, he resorted to like drinking, as we all do, and using substance and all of that. And the end result was him harming himself to the point that where his body stopped functioning.
Wow. Brother, I'm sorry to hear that. Wow. And you raise a valid point, and I want to tell you, first of all, thank you for sharing, brother, because I didn't realize until last year, and this is the reason why we have the Real Man Talk, so men can come together and talk about things. And even if you want to talk, you can listen to some of the videos, and I have various men on there have talked about different problems. And once again, you can always reach out to me for Real Man Coaching, and we can talk about that. But one thing that you pointed out, man, is whether he didn't feel comfortable talking to you or he just didn't talk. A lot of us as men just don't talk. So
right.
We have to once break that barrier. We got to come to some type of happy medium where we can talk. And once again, I thank you for coming on the show, just sharing what you're sharing. Also, as I said a year ago, I didn't realize this, man, until talking to one of the brothers, how people such as yourself who comes over here from another country and look like me, that has an accent, how you all are discriminated against, whether it's from us or whether from the other people. So as you stated, that's a whole nother stress level. Reading this book by Joseph Kafalo, which is from Sierra Leone, he was talking about how he left Sierra Leone going to Norway.
Okay.
Go to school. Left Norway and went to Germany. And I think later on came to America, but he was trying to get to America. But once again, a lot of people don't realize it's not easy to get to America.
Not at all.
Definitely, if you're black and brown, they do not want you over here, will not let you over here. And us as in America don't realize we got people from Haiti, from Cuba, from Belize. I remember people in Belize telling me we want to come there, but they won't let us. Mm-hmm. But my point I'm making is you all come over here and get discriminated against. It hurt me when I found it out because I didn't realize that, you know, we treated you all as such. And I didn't realize how when we go over to Africa, how y'all just very welcoming, but when y'all come over here, it's not reciprocated. So with that being said, as you stated, with the stress, you're leaving from a whole nother country, coming to a foreign land, getting discriminated against by your brothers and sisters and the Europeans and the Asians and everybody else, as well as, like you said, the weather is different, the food is different. That's stress in his goddamn self alone. And you probably don't know when you're going home because you're probably trying to just survive now that you're here in America, trying to get a job. So you're trying to make it like the rest of us, but you don't fit in.
Right.
A whole nother stress level in itself. And I never did realize that until talking to a brother from the islands and now listening to you and hearing your story.
Right.
You're my brother, man.
And that's very profound that you touched on that, because, you know, when I first got here, you know, I looked at all the different things and the different cultures in America, and I was trying to fit in as a kid, right? I was going to school, and I'm a very dark person, you know. I have a lot of melanin.
Yes.
You know, I'm very strong, and so you know, so I stood out, you know. So people would be like, "Man, you're really dark," or this, that, you know, and so. But naturally, I just felt like the African American community was the community that I belonged in, because even though I didn't understand the English, because my English wasn't as, you know, clear as where it's at now, and I still have accents even after all these years of living here.
Man, you speak good English to me.
Yeah, thank you, brother. But at the same time, you know, I used to look at like how just black people like do like dance videos and be like, oh, well, we do the same thing over there, you know. Or I'll just see like just our swag, you know, the swag that black people have. And I'm like, oh, you know, we got that same swag. So naturally, I identify with that community. But it wasn't until later on, as I, you know, got older and started understanding the systems more and seeing how things operate, that it's not a coincidence that I was being made fun of by people who look like me, or that they didn't embrace me, and I had my own stereotypes of them. And in fact, that's what that documentary is about, the moving to the beat. One of my motivations for co-directing that documentary was to talk about that, because when we were in Africa, black people were portrayed a certain way. And when I came here, I also noticed that black people were also being portrayed a certain way over there. And both of those portrayals were not accurate. And so that documentary, if you watch the entire 60 minutes of it, that's one of the subjects of that entire documentary.
Wow. Was
how do we confront these stereotypes? When we're here, we think Africa is one way. When we're in Africa, we think America is one way. And oftentimes, unless we get to a place where we could go ourselves, otherwise the messaging that we're getting about these two different places is not correct. And so you experienced that when you went back home and you saw for yourself what it's like as a black person to be in Africa, right? Yes. And I'm pretty sure that was sort of the things that we were talking about. Like, man, like, you know, a lot of the things that I've been told were going to happen to me, it didn't happen. Right. And in fact, it was the opposite of that. And so I think that when we all come here, whether you were born here as a black person or whether you come from elsewhere, we're all crabs in the same bucket. We're still in impoverished conditions.
Yes.
And we're looking for empowerment, and we're looking against some agency and power. And so a lot of times we have to fight with each other because we're all fighting for the same plate of crumbs.
Brother, that is so profound, and it's bittersweet. It's very bittersweet, man. And reason why I wanted to bring you on and talk about this segment, because coming back from Africa, and let me know just how mentally sick we are. Definitely, as I hate to say it, us as a people here, man. Because when you're away from it, you get to see things a little different. And
Right.
us Black people that's from America, it's a lot of things that we just don't know, man. Versus you being from Sierra Leone, you know, it's part of your culture. It's second nature. But we was one of them, we the people that came from, our ancestors came from Sierra Leone, and we stayed here and was raised here and been cut off from our culture, been cut off from our people. Therefore, you scattered all over. You don't know how to treat each other, don't know how to really love each other. You don't have a sense of identity. And
Right.
going back home to get that sense of identity, to see where I come from, to see how we communicate, it's like a breath of fresh air. But when I come back here, I can see the mental sickness.
Definitely. And that's exactly what I was talking about in terms of being back and trying to reconnect myself back here. These are the things that I'm seeing, right? And I can physically feel myself doing or being pushed to do something that I know goes against my being, right? And so, but I think that, I think that we are all suffering from self-identity. Yes. as a race, as the human race. I think that when you watch all across the world, we are becoming more and more disconnected. We're becoming disconnected from ourselves. A lot of us, it's becoming normal for kids to tell you, I don't know how I'm feeling. I don't know what emotions are coming up for me. Like, I can't identify them. So that's an issue. And then we're also being disconnected from our family, the capitalism lifestyle where, the kid is born and is with the parent for a very small time. And then they go to a daycare and they start going to school and then they, and then they move out. Right. So there's not really a heavy connection happening there. And that's why, like, a lot of us in this culture don't look back to take care of our elderly, because that bonding never really happened. You go to places like Sierra Leone, you saw that. Other places in the world, people are still a little bit more tight and connected because of the communal culture aspect, right? The village is still alive,
and,
right?
And the women run things and the elders get respect.
Exactly. And so that's what happens when there is a disconnect, like what I'm talking about. We start losing our values. We start losing our morals. We compromise our soul. A lot of my values that I have as a person, as a man, were given to me by my grandparents who raised me when I was younger.
Wow.
So even though they're no longer here, but a lot of how I look at the world and how I interact with it was formed by these people.
Wow.
And so this is this is all tied into our mental health.
Right.
This is the reason why we are all suffering the way we are right now, and we all need healing.
Yes.
Because it can't continue to go on this way. Because we're seeing every day, I think yesterday, I saw in the news that New York has declared itself a catastrophe because of gun violence or something like that. And so we can't continue to be disconnected. We have to make time to recognize that the world is a shared village and that there is something beautiful in what we can share together. If you and I didn't meet in Sierra Leone, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to be able to be on the show together like this.
True.
And even not just meet or see each other, but we actually engaged in a conversation.
Yes.
And that conversation is the catalyst for what we're doing right now. But people are not conversating with each other anymore. We see that with our relationships with our children, our relationship with our partners, our relationship with people who don't look like us. And so that disconnect is the one commonality that I see in all the people that I work with as a therapist. People are disconnected from the self, from family, from a community, and a lot of the mental health issues that they're experiencing are due to that disconnect.
And brother, I'm gonna hit on one thing before I get you out of here. When you said that they don't communicate, this is one of the joys that I've seen just watching the kids play. The kids are outside every day playing, man.
Right.
Because there's no
Right.
reason to really stay indoors, only because the situations that's going on. So they're forced to communicate. They're forced to play. They're forced to, do conflict resolution and just social skills. Here it's a little different. You don't have to go outside. You can stay behind a keyboard. You can stay indoors. You can fight amongst each other on here and never solve anything. And it's just amazing because this picture brings me so much joy because, as you stated, they don't have a lot, but they're much happier and healthier.
Right.
I mean, when you see 80-year-old women walking 3 and 4 miles a day, man, and you got young people such as myself, not talking about me, but a lot of people just can't even walk 2 and 3, 4 miles. I don't do it.
Right. So, so I guess it begs the question, what is happiness, right? I mean, look at all these photos that you're sharing here. People in places like Sierra Leone and other impoverished places in the world, they might be poor, but they're not depressed.
Right.
Or they don't experience anxiety in the way that we do here. Because, you see kids walking around, no shoes, no shirt, just shorts, but they got their arms around each other.
Yes.
They're playing together and they're laughing together, right? And in ending this discussion, actually, I want to talk about the resiliency that we have also as people. We've talked about what we've experienced and what we continue to experience, but that's us. That's Black people.
Right.
That's we are people that make something out of nothing.
Yes.
We are people that we really value having such experiences as what you and I experienced going back home.
Yes.
Connecting back to the self, and staying connected, identifying with each other. It's very healing when we can be together. And even if we don't have much, but if we're together to share whatever it is that we have, that's therapeutic. That's healthy coping for a lot of us, And so we are people that have been through a lot, that continues to go through a lot, but we're also people who've overcome a lot. And I feel like oftentimes that part of the conversation we don't talk about enough. But as much as we've been through, we've also come a long way, and we'll continue to persevere, but definitely let's embrace the resiliency that we have as people, because that's what we can build on to continue to overcome and to continue to do more.
Brother, thank you so much, Brother Abdul Fofanah, for coming on to the Real Man Talk Show, sharing your experience as well as your background in regards to mental health. And hopefully this video, this segment, would touch somebody, if not touch many. Before I get you out of here, man, is there anything you want to tell the people, or is there any way they can reach you if they want to talk to you?
Definitely. And I apologize. I hope I wasn't talking too much.
No, brother, you're good. That's why I brought you on here to talk.
But this is something that I care about and something I'm passionate about. And so, so when we met back home, I was actually there for 6 months.
Wow.
That is the longest time I've ever spent in Africa or anywhere else.
Wow.
Since I left Africa when I was young. And the reason for that it was due to my own mental health. It was because as a counselor, as a therapist, having to live in other people's realities on a daily basis, people who have went through a lot of trauma, it had an impact on me, right? COVID had an impact on me. The current political climate had an impact on me. And so as someone who's currently just, looking outwards and seeing what I can do for other people, I actually was realizing that I was neglecting myself. And what I needed for my own healing was to be able to get away from all of this, but not only that, but to go to a place that I identify with, right? And so that 6 months that I did back home really was like a ha-ha moment for me, because I'm one of those people that I do so much for other people that I tend to forget myself. And so because of that, now that I'm back, I'm trying to see how I could live a life that could align more me continue to do what I enjoy doing, which is helping people, but at the same time, make time for myself as well. And so with that, I'm starting a nonprofit. The name of my nonprofit is called the Sababu Project. And Sababu is a word that is commonly used in Sierra Leone by pretty much all the languages, and it's a very interchangeable word. Sababu. It means opportunity. It means hope. It means connection. It means empowerment. And so the Sababu Project is an organization that's going to be embarking on different projects. For example, one of the things I have already done that I was doing, you saw that in the documentary, was the two gentlemen that you saw me in the studio with.
Right.
Those are African-American friends that I made when I was growing up here, that I took home with me for the first time. So they had an experience like the one you all did.
Wow.
Right. And so I just feel like as a person who is from both worlds, I feel I am the right person to facilitate people going back home or wherever home is to get that connection and heal and connect with their identity that way. So that's one project that the Sababu Project will be partaking on. Another one is, one of the things that I saw in Sierra Leone when I was there is access to clean water. It was very difficult. And so I want to see what I could do with that. I also saw kids that were just orphaned, that were staying at the, living in the beach, and you saw them as well.
Yes.
And so the thing about taking a trip like the one we just took is you get to see something that when you get back, it remains in your conscience. You get to see stuff and you're like, you know what I've seen, I just can't come back and just sit down and not do something about it. And so that's what the Sababu Project is going to be about. It's about healing people, empowering people, and helping people grow. And so look out for that. In the meantime, you're welcome to share my email. Anyone wants to dive into a conversation much deeper than what we've been talking about, I'm open to that.
Brother Abdul, thank you so much, man. And when you said that, you just made me remember something, because I'm still working on projects in Africa right now, in Sierra Leone. And you're right, you can't forget some of the things you've seen, because two of the places I went to was orphanage.
Okay.
And it hit me because a lot of people don't realize, when you see all these kids who don't have parents because they was either killed in the war or they're gone off, these kids are there by themselves, and all they got is each other. And when you see that, it's so sad, but they still been taken care of in the village. But to grow up not to have a mother and father, and you just depending on each other, is very challenging. And as Brother Abdul said, I can't sit back and not do nothing. So it's almost like I'm compelled. I don't have no choice but to do something.
Right.
And I realize the little bit I do, I have done, they're so grateful. But I'm like, man, this is nothing. I can do more. I have to do more. But the people over there are so grateful, man. And you're right, man. I'm with you, Brother Abdul. I just can't sit here. And like the longer I sit here, just like you, I'm trying to figure out how I can make that transition and still, be productive and still take care of myself. But it's almost like you compelled to do something.
Right. And that's, and that's because, we are a global village. We are all human beings at the end of the day. Doesn't matter what skin color you are. You see a person suffering, In the same way that you could be like, yo, that could be me. That could be me, in a matter of 3 weeks, 4 weeks, in a matter of a day. And so you feel compelled to come back and see what you can do. And a little goes so much more further over there. Like you said, the people are really, really appreciative, and a lot of people over there, are willing to work hard.
Yes.
They want things to be different, because of the politics of the land over there, and because of leaders that really haven't done a good job leading our people. Unfortunately, their circumstances are dire, and you can't be in an environment where, you're blessed enough to make a change and not do something about it. That's how I feel, and that's exactly the same way you're talking about.
Yes.
But I mean, I thank you, brother, because I appreciate what you're already doing. Because I feel like, with this show, being able to come on here and share my experiences and hear about yours, hopefully, if one person got something out of this discussion that could help them grow or help them heal, then we've done something good. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy that I was able to be a part of this, and I'm open to come on for another discussion or any other thing that you'd like to talk about.
Thank you, brother, and you definitely will be coming back on the show, man. Are you gonna be there next year?
But yes, by the grace of God.
Okay,
Yes.
by the grace of God, man. I want to invite you to my wedding because I will be doing a ceremony in Sierra Leone in April, man.
Oh well, I was there when you proposed.
Oh, you was there?
Yeah.
Oh man, please forgive, man. That day I was very sick, man. So please forgive me. And a lot of people thought I was sick because of the proposal. No, I literally was sick that whole day, man. So I already had it planned out that I was going to do that. So I had to just muster up the energy. So a lot of things I don't remember. I remember proposing for sure.
Right.
But I'm sorry, I didn't remember seeing you because I was out of it. Thank you for coming, man. Thank you.
Man, no. And I think, we'll be doing an injustice if we don't talk about how beautiful Sierra Leone is, right? Because that proposal, I couldn't have imagined any place better, because where we were at the time and what was happening in the moment, right? So congratulations, and God willing, I would definitely want to be a part of, that wedding.
Thank you so much, brother. And man, I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna see if I can pull up a picture. But Sierra Leone is, man, it's so beautiful. Even the countryside,
right?
And was it not Capanero, but what you call it?
Campanero Hotel. We have to give a shout out to Campanero Hotel.
Oh yes,
it's a paradise. This hotel and resort is at a place where you can really experience paradise.
And you're so right, man, because Capanero Hotel was so relaxing, man. And that's where I did the proposal at. And it's right there on the beach. Food was good, the service was good. Got a chance to meet the brothers who owns it. Very hospitable. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you a picture of Boré Beach, right?
Boré Beach, yes.
Yes. Boré Beach is where I proposed and where we stayed at, and that's where we're going to be at next year in April. Those who listen, you're more than welcome to come. I want you to come just for the hell of it, just so you can see how beautiful Sierra Leone is, as well as the people. But you're invited to the ceremony if you decide to come.
And if anyone out there wants to come and just doesn't understand the process of what they need to do to get there, you can contact me, and I'll be more than happy to walk you through that process.
Because it is a process. And well, I'm gonna just show some of these pictures. I got a lot of pictures before I get you out there. I'm gonna show these pictures so people can see what the experience. Here we go. We'll just start. Wow, so many beautiful pictures. That's my queen.
Right.
That's the hotel in the back.
Yo.
Hotel Boré Hotel.
Hotel Campanero in Bure Beach.
Oh, this is called Hotel Campanero as well?
Yeah, Campanero is the name of the hotel, and the beach where it's at is Bure Beach.
Okay, because it's 2 Campanero hotels, correct?
That's right, and it's owned by the same family.
Right.
And it's important to state that is locally owned by Sierra Leoneans. That's not owned by no Lebanese, no Chinese, no Europeans. That is owned by a young man, and he's done fantastic for that country.
Yes. Matter of fact, the food was so, oh my God. I don't know if you tuned into the show, but I tell people, man, how I was eating red snapper twice a day. And as you know here, Brother Abdul, we can't eat red snapper twice a day because it's too expensive here, man.
We can't afford it.
Right.
And that's the crazy thing. What we can't afford here is the cheapest over there. Seafood. Yes. Right? And so, yeah, the food is amazing. You know, the food is amazing.
The cassava leaves. Oh my God.
Right.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You can't come to Sierra Leone and not eat cassava leaf.
Not only that, man, I tell people about the bananas, the star fruit.
Right.
Oh, when I've been into the banana, I never tasted a banana like that before until I was in Africa. It's like you can taste all the natural sweetness in that banana.
Exactly. When they say organic over there, they mean organic.
Yes. This is one of the owners, right?
Yeah, that's him on the left. His name is Daniel Cisse. He goes by the name Dutch.
Dutch, okay, Dutch. And that's Pi Alpha to the right.
Yes.
I mean, it was so beautiful there. My boy Abdul. That's Koya Village.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you all have to come visit. You have to come visit. It's really hard to put it in words. It's hard to put it in words. I can't really put it in words. You have to see for yourself, even just experience the love from the people. It's so much to say, man, but I'm glad that you pointed that out because we do have to talk about the amazing goodness over there that's not always talked about. And as you stated, man, things that's expensive here is cheap over there.
Right.
Ow.
Right. Fruits, mangoes, pineapple, guava, you name it. Apples, oranges, papaya, seafood. I'll go on for days. I was eating, that's the hotel. Very beautiful hotel.
Yes. Don't forget about the prawns. Them big old prawns they got over there, man.
Oh, right. Right. So this is the road that leads down to the beach.
And I'm going to give you a small tour. Use a little tour, matter of fact. I'm going in the building. Give me a little exercise on while I walk this little hill.
So that's the main gate up where that light is coming in from.
And this was my room right here. To the left.
Right.
Come on, baby. Come on. Come on.
But that hill right there is no joke.
It's not, man. It's a little exercise.
It's a little bit of exercise walking up that hill.
This is a sitting area where we came out for breakfast, and mainly for breakfast we sat out here, but you can sit out here throughout the day. It's a sitting area
right
in the morning where we come out to. That's the outside of the beach, if you can see it. So those that's looking to come to the ceremony, that come to visit, this is Campanera Hotel that's on Bore Beach. We stayed there twice. Now you get to see how beautiful the hotel is inside. And once again, it's owned by Sierra Leone's.
Yes, it's a beautiful hotel.
On the floor.
You got a real nice view of the inside of the hotel.
Yeah.
Hello, hello.
The staff
Yeah, but
staff there is amazing as well.
The
Yes.
Wi-Fi password?
Staff is very, very good,
Got
man.
Wi-Fi yet? Okay. Okay, right.
And this is a young Sierra Leonean opening a business so he can employ other Sierra Leoneans. So that's what we talk about when we talk about empowerment.
Yes, yes.
Is it cold? I guess good enough. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Got to excuse the room.
Shower. Jump in the shower. Food is too cold.
Flat screen TV.
Yep.
AC.
Got a little too warm, so we had to request a fan. And it's, well, they can deal with the heat. We can't. We're not accustomed to it. It's the bathroom. And see, the bathroom is very unique. It's a definition of a shower.
And anywhere outside of America, definitely in Europe and other places, bathrooms are completely different.
So that's it.
Right. Look at the detailing of the ceiling.
Yes. This is my view every morning. Well, the times I was there.
Yeah, and so that's the ocean view.
Yes.
That's it.
So once again, people, thank you so much for tuning in. And Brother Abdul, I didn't mean to take this much of your time, but I enjoyed the conversation with you, man.
Hey, so did I, brother.
But you and I, we got more to talk about, man. I'm going to link up with you. We got more to talk about. And I want to thank you for coming on and thank you all for watching. And tune into next Wednesday. And if you have any questions, hit me up. To those who's looking for coaching, whether it's coaching with your business or just want to talk, definitely hit me up at therealmancoaching.com. Therealmancoaching.com and set your session and let's get going so I can help you get that next level. Also, to those who's looking to get your credit fixed, I can help you with your credit. Go to realmancredit.com and let me help you with your credit. And some other things that come with your credit that I can help you with. So definitely, if you don't have your estate in order, let me help you get your power of attorney, your will, and your living trust. Those things are very important. Considering what's going on right now, you want to have your affairs in order so I can help you. Just go to realmancredit.com. To those who's looking to make more income and want to increase your knowledge base, whether it's in crypto, stocks, mindsetting, as far as your goal setting, or just looking for a team that's going to push you and help you. If you're looking to come out with a book or a website, some ebooks, go to my site, bwohightower.com, and sign up. Right now, it's only $350 a month, but once you get in there, you go realize all the value that you have. You have access to about 5 or 6 different millionaires that's given us the blueprint how to make money. So I highly encourage you to go in there and sign up. If you don't like it, just don't go back the next month, but I guarantee you, you will like it. And I can tell you, since I've been there with them in January, I have made nice money. I'm still learning because there's so much stuff to it. But they're actually teaching you step by step how to formulate your business plan, how to formulate your heritage, which something we didn't talk about. But brother, that's a whole nother conversation when it comes to Sierra Leone. By going there, I've been able to understand where I come from. So because of that, now I can kind of talk a little bit about reparations in a different form.
Right.
I'm entitled to things because of my heirs. And they talk about this in BWO. That's a whole nother conversation. And me and Brother Abdul may talk a little bit about that next time, but it's so much to you all that live here that to say, if you trace your lineage back to Sierra Leone, there's rights and benefits to that. And that's a whole nother conversation, but I don't want people to get caught up in that. I want you to really go home because you want to. So them are some of the services that we're offering. If you need mental health services, the webpage will be up this week, therealmantalk.com. And I have a link where you can click and talk to some of the therapists. And the thing about it, we want to just get people better, man, mentally, financially, economically, and spiritually. So till then, hey, y'all, thank you for tuning into The Real Man Talk, and we'll be seeing you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Take care of yourself.
Good night, brother. Inshallah.